We'll start with questions in the room. Todo en inglés, por favor.
Thank you very much. Good night, Coach Vanney, Carlos Daniel Salgado from Azteca Deportes. You came here with certain expectations to go on to semifinals, and you didn't make it. It seems like your team was always or had some sort of reaction after every Tigres goal, but you were never able to tie the score. So can you share with us the impressions on this match and how do you leave Monterrey?
Yeah, I thought you did a pretty good job of summing it up. Yeah, I mean, the first goal that we give up, we knew if we gave up one, it's not the end of the world because the away goals that we still could use in our favor. The first goal it's a decent goal. It's a hell of a cross from a pretty wide position and a great header. I think you can kind of live with good goals. But to give up a goal with like 20 seconds after giving up a goal when you know that at 1-0 you're still in a decent spot. For me, it's not acceptable for the group to concede the way we conceded the second one. You got to get yourself back into the game, and we've got to be able to show more maturity than that. But now down 2-0, I thought the reaction was pretty good. We made a couple of adjustments to try to change the look of the game a little bit, to try to create more transitions, to try to not allow them to have so much of the ball for such long possessions where we would maybe suffer a little bit defensively, and just we took a little more risk on the defensive side to see if we could again create more transitions. And we got to go back. I thought Joe had a couple, Paintsill had a couple chances to break behind the back line. We weren't able to get anything out of it. So, but I thought the guys pressed, and then the third goal becomes tough because now you got to score three. We got it back right away, and you feel like we're at least putting pressure on them down the stretch to see if we can get the third goal. But nothing down the stretch was really executed in a way that we got any great chances. But yeah, I felt like it was just kind of a battle and a scrap for good chunks of the second half. It wasn't necessarily a fluid soccer game or anything like that, or a football game. It was just kind of scrappy and lots of fouls and again, lots of duels, things like that.
Other questions here in the room? Okay, we're going to move to the Zoom. I can't see everyone's hands who are raised. We'll start with, thank you. We'll start with Scott French, if you can come off mute. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Greg. I've got pretty much the same question as I did last week, and that's just positionally the use of Ramirez and Paintsill and how it shifted situationally.
Yeah, I mean, Joe played a little higher, almost like a second forward. Didn't always stay there. He was pretty busy and going to different parts of the field, which I think didn't always create the scenarios that we were looking for. But his mobility, especially in transitions, was useful for us in stretches of the game where we were able to again be direct and get him running and getting him behind. But because he's not necessarily a true forward, I think he doesn't show like he's not super patient staying up in those pockets. He's moving around, which kind of led to the game being, I think, a little bit more, not just for him, but a little more transitional and a little bit more erratic, if you will, not just because of Joe, but because of us being able to settle the game down and establish the right positions to be able to create uncertainties to keep possession. So once we kind of recognized that was the case, then we shifted the way we defended. We weren't sitting in our structure and trying to be more calculated. We shifted and went to just kind of getting to man as early as we could and trying to force them to hit predictable balls for our back line to be able to clean up, or for guys to be able to again be in duels and win things. So there were a couple of moments that showed up. There's one in particular, I think, where we played off the outside and they released hard, and Joe was able to turn the corner, and we were able to get him in. I think it's the one that hit off his knee, maybe, and went to the keeper. But there's a couple of moments that some of the things we were looking for showed up, but it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was consistent throughout the night.
And with Christian, a little over towards the left, sometimes almost not quite wing, but leaning that way.
No, not necessarily. Again, the wing. It was more about it positioning with almost like two forwards, but again. It all depended because the game didn't settle down a lot in stretches. The game was pretty transitional, again, because of the way we defended and because when we forced them to play predictable balls or things that we were winning, we weren't necessarily very clean at playing out of those situations that were turning into more transitions. And so the game didn't settle down a lot, especially in the second half. I thought it was, again, I didn't think it was as smooth a game as maybe we were envisioning initially. But yeah, I mean, again, the guys were kind of trying to adapt inside of what they felt like the game was demanding, and where they felt like they could hopefully create some opportunities.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Our next question will go to Alex Ruiz.
Hey, Greg. Thank you for your time. Obviously, those first 10 minutes, you guys go down 2-0. Did you feel like your team maybe was caught a little off guard due to the occasion, the atmosphere? If so, do you think that there's still a level of, I guess, maybe maturing for the squad to do when it comes to these big games? Thank you.
I don't think we were at all caught by the surroundings themselves. I thought we were super naive, and after we gave up a goal, a lot of times you give up a goal, it's an emotional boost for the opposition, and they came pressing right off the kickoff, and we were super naive trying to play into the midfield and very casual, and it created a turnover and scored the goal. I don't think it had anything to do with the environment. I think it shows our immaturity at times that has hurt us throughout the course of the season so far. It's being able to manage moments of the game, and when you just give up a goal, the last thing you want to do is put yourself in a situation to give up another. So that answers your second question. Is yes, we need to mature more as a group, and again recognize the ebbs and flows in the game, and understanding when to take risk, when to not take risks, how to play in our vision, but also be smart to not and be competent not to make errors that ultimately come back to hurt you in the long run, especially in a knockout tournament. You have to be mindful of it. And I thought the guys battled their asses off for 90 minutes, but it was constantly an uphill battle because of, specifically, I think the second goal was the big reason it was an uphill battle. The first goal you can live with, as I said, because it's a very good goal. And you still know you have the away goals on your side, but the second goal, I think, changes the emotion of the whole thing. But we saw some fight from our guys. We just weren't able to, after we gave up the third one, we weren't able to do enough to get it back.
Thank you, Alex. Our final question will come from Rob Halon.
Hey, Greg, thanks so much for talking to us tonight. Can you talk to us about Joseph Paintsil's performance? He had the goal tonight after the long injury layoff, and how does your attention now turn to the league? Thank you.
Yeah, I thought Joe was dynamic. He was getting around the field. He was sprinting in behind. He had the majority of our good chances. Just a lot of it had to do with just his pace and transition. A couple one action, as I mentioned earlier, where we got their back line separated and pulled apart, and he was able to use the seams to run in behind. And again, I think the ball maybe bounced off his knee and kind of got out there where the keeper could intervene. But I thought he was active. Again, I think he was busy and he was active. So that's it. I think as we now look at the league, the same thing exists. Like whether it's league or it's Champions League or it's whatever, we can't make the mistakes and give up 3 goals. We can't. Again, it's a set piece goal again, and even though they played it short, it still went wide, and we still have plenty of numbers in the box, and we don't manage our marks, and we don't win the first touch, we don't deal with the situation. So those things have to get better. And the second goal for me is just pure naivete, which is what I said earlier. But we've got to stop putting ourselves in these deficits where we're having to fight back. But what I did like is the guys did battle back and they fought, and this is a really tough place to play, and they're a very good team. And we showed the character to continue to scrap and battle and to try to find our way back all the way till the end. So those are good things. But we need to execute better if we want to turn these games into positive results so that we can start focusing on building ourselves back in the league one game at a time.
Thanks, Greg. Travel safe.
Thank you.
Thank you to those of you who joined us on Zoom. That concludes our press conference. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.